What is up, everyone? So today, finally going to talk about the next quarterback. Previous video, we talked about Jake Fromm, and today we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts. Lots of good stuff about this guy, also lots of bad stuff. But yeah, my name is George, and this is the Sports Freak. So, Jalen Hurts, 2-year starter at Alabama. Then senior year, he transferred to Oklahoma, where he had a really good season there. 6'1", got 9 3/4 inches sized hands. That doesn't really matter as much. His freshman year came on the scene, started 14 games. In the first game, he came off the bench to lead them against USC. I'm a big Alabama fan, so I've watched Jalen Hurts pretty much my whole entire time in 2 years, and I even watched him a lot when he was at Oklahoma, but definitely freshman, sophomore year. Being an Alabama fan, I was his biggest fan. But yeah, freshman year, he finished with 2,780 yards, 23 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, rushed for 954 yards, and had 13 touchdowns on the ground. Sophomore year, had a major decline in terms of passing, 2,081 yards, 17 touchdowns to 1 interception. Yeah, he didn't turn over the ball as much. Rushing-wise, he had 855 yards to 8 TDs, so a big decline from his freshman to sophomore year. That was also because Lane Kiffin left to become the head coach at Florida Atlantic, and Brian Daboll became the offensive coordinator. Then obviously in the game against Georgia in the national championship, was benched for Tua Tagovailoa, and we all know the rest is history of Tua. One of the greatest quarterbacks I've seen to play the game. Junior year at Alabama, he stayed. He even played. He did not. There's that 5-game rule or 4-game rule where if you play over, then if you don't, you can keep. You get a red shirt that year. But Jalen decided to stay on play. Had 765 yards, 8 TDs, did 2 interceptions, 167 yards rushing, 2 TDs on the ground. Famously, a game against Georgia, he came off the bench after Tua got injured and won the game for them essentially, which was, a full circle coming from the year before when he got benched. So his senior year at Oklahoma, outstanding year statistically, 3,851 yards through the air, 32 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, had 1,298 rushing yards, and 20 touchdowns on the ground. Over 50 total touchdowns, which is pretty amazing. Just comparing that, like Cam Newton, I think Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, and all these top Heisman level quarterbacks had these certain numbers. But yeah, he did crazy stuff. Like he probably would have won the Heisman Trophy if we hadn't had the guy named Joe Burrow burst on the scene and destroy literally all the records. But yeah, good. Overall, statistically, you look on it and you're like, wow, this is a good guy. He did some great stuff. Took his team to the national championship his freshman year. Sophomore year, did the same thing. Senior year, took them to the semifinals. Junior year, technically, yeah, he was one of the reasons why they got to the semifinals too. But, the numbers are very deceiving. You'll watch the film. There's a lot of stuff that... he has some issues. So overview of him, he's a dual threat quarterback, make plays with his arms and his legs. He's known for his strength, toughness, and character. Great leader. Definitely a guy in the locker room who can raise the morale. Very calm and cool and composed. Very poised. Just very calm, poised guy. If you see him in interviews, just see him bouncing back responses to the guys. He's just a guy who's just a well-liked person, very humble. He's a very inconsistent decision maker, and definitely probably the biggest problem that he still has today is he leaves the pocket early. He lacks the deep ball touch, but this year he did improve with the deep ball at Oklahoma and his accuracy as well. He definitely needs the right scheme to fit his style of play. He is not going to go into one system and any system and just light it up. He needs the scheme to be built around him, kind of with what they did with Lamar Jackson at the Ravens. But another thing to know, he did have 4 different offensive coordinators all 4 of his years in college football. Freshman year, Lane Kiffin. Sophomore year, Brian Daboll. Junior year, he had Mike Locksley and Dan Enos at Alabama. And then senior year, obviously, he had, I forgot Oklahoma's head coach, Lincoln Riley. He had Lincoln Riley. So yeah, four different systems. I mean, that's still... at least it shows that he's able to go in and learn these different systems. Obviously, the year Oklahoma is probably the type of offense you want to build around him. It's not surprising though. He was in the Big 12. He's going against those defenses who aren't that great. To be honest, not trying to put them down or anything. I'm just trying to be real. The defense in the Big 12, they just suck. Okay, they just suck. The strengths about Jalen Hurts, I've already mentioned. Leadership, he's the type of guy who's going to lead you. He's a great person. He's just a great overall person. Very humble, speak well. Just a guy you'd want to follow. It's the end of the world. He's extremely tough. Can run over people. The amount of highlights you can show of him just running over people, he's built like a running back. If you've seen him, his videos and how much he can squat, he is built like a running back. He can run over people. I just comparing him to Derrick Henry in the way he runs. He can just run over people. Just big. Can just bulldoze over you. I said before, he's very poised too. Very calm guy and doesn't get flustered, as people say. The moment doesn't get too big for him. And I said before he played in various systems, 4 different offensive schemes, 4 different years. So he's played. That's good for people because some people, they played in one scheme and then it's like their whole entire career, and then they go play in this other system and then they all of a sudden suck. So it's good that Jalen got his hands off in various systems. Definitely uses athletic ability and strength a lot, which is very good in today's game, especially to scramble around. And, in the pocket, comparing him to like Deshaun Watson, you see Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, all these guys, moving around the pocket, and Aaron Rodgers. It's definitely, in today's game, you need that. He has a good enough velocity on his throws, he's very much improved in that, and especially with extending plays, which is definitely, he's gotten a lot better from his time at Alabama. Alabama, he did a horrible job with it, to be honest, but he got so much more better on it at Oklahoma. There's a lot of highlights just going back and watching of him just, going out to the right or left and then making a play. That being said, he did play in the Big 12, as I said before. He does have decent accuracy on intermediate and short passes, which is good enough. I guess in today's game, you're not going to throw the ball 80 yards down the field every play, which is good. As I said before, he's a strong and powerful runner, can run a bulldozer over anyone. He moves the piles with his leg. He's got a powerful leg drive. When he puts his foot down and goes forward, it's going to take multiple guys to bring him down. You can just watch the amount of plays this season where he would just carry the pile at Oklahoma. And he also has a smart football IQ. There's an interview recently I saw him. He was breaking down plays really well. He's a coach's son too. His dad was a high school football coach, so he definitely knows the X's and O's of the sport. The RPOs definitely benefits him a lot. Especially I remember his first year with Lane Kiffin. Definitely ran that a lot. He's pretty good at running it. But yeah, let's get into some weaknesses that he have. He struggles with rhythm as a passer. There's so many plays, like he'll make a good play, next play he does a poor job, and then the next play he'll do a good job, next play he'll do a poor job. Just very inconsistent at times with being a passer, because he'll get it one play, the next play he'll miss it, then he'll get it, then he'll miss it. It's very frustrating at times. He's very impatient with allowing routes to develop. He definitely bails on this a lot. If the guy is not there, he takes off or does something else. But he needs to be more patient in the pocket and letting the route develop. He struggles with reading defenses, especially with early throw opportunities. This was so evident in his first 2 years at Alabama. He struggled mightily. He missed wide open receivers left and right. He had a tendency to lock on to one wide receiver, and if that guy wasn't open, he'd go to the sideline and ended up throwing it away, even though he had guys wide open. I mean, there's this one YouTube channel that's pretty great at just showing the amount of highlights, stuff that he missed. It's kind of biased, but he does show it very well. The unofficial assistants, if you check out his channel, he breaks down, just Jalen Hurts missing stuff wide open left and right from his freshman and sophomore year. Which, I mean, me being an Alabama fan growing up and watching that, seeing that as, it was I was the Jalen Hurts massive fan for freshman and sophomore year, but there's a play against. This is the play where, for me personally, I was like, I had enough. I can't defend this guy anymore in terms of his passing ability. It's against Clemson. I can't remember if it's first or second goal or third goal. It's in the semifinal. He has Calvin Ridley open from the start of the play, but he's looking at him, but he doesn't throw it to him. For some reason, he just doesn't feel like he's open. Then he runs out right, like he's going to run or throw the ball away, and then Calvin Ridley becomes wide open in the back of the end zone, and then Jalen makes the throw. But my big problem was, why didn't he throw it when the guy was open? Calvin was wide open earlier before, but that's just, he just struggles with reading it, what the defense is giving him, and then with recognizing that the guy is open. He sees it very late. I'm very confident that if he's on the sideline watching it, he can see it perfectly fine. But, there's a big difference between you being on the sideline and watching it and then actually being in the play and executing it. But he definitely struggles with that. He misses easy checkdowns and, as I said, open receivers. The amount of open receivers there. On the deep ball, freshman and sophomore year at Alabama, he missed way too many guys. Just the amount of times Calvin Ridley, I feel bad for Calvin Ridley. Statistically, he could have had a better year if Jalen Hurts, was more in sync with him. He'd overthrow him so many times, and you could see in the wide receivers' faces, it was frustrating. It was really frustrating. And people kind of forget that Jalen Hurts had Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith to throw to during their freshman year. He had these talented studs. And, did he take advantage of them? No, he did not. He also had 5-star Robert Foster. Unfortunately, because 2 years as a starter for Robert Foster, he was an undrafted free agent. And there was Cam Sims, who was another talented guy. But, Jalen Hurts was not the greatest passer, did not use the weapons around him during that time. Alabama's always had talented wide receivers year in and year out. It's just Tua's like the first guy, I think, to use all the talent around him. And that's used as a weakness for Tua. But when you compare Jalen, it kind of, people forget about that he has the exact same talent too. Struggled with accuracy on big throws. Yeah, just talked about that. He struggles with it. He can't place the ball properly. In times it lacks touch. Outside back shoulder throws, he struggles with that. It's just, he needs a lot of practice on that. A coach can definitely help him and fix that, but he just struggles with it in general. Another thing, he needs to trust the pocket more. He leaves the pocket way too early. At times, if you look in Alabama and Oklahoma, especially this year, I couldn't tell at times whether it was a designed run or if he was just leaving the pocket early. Like, if his first read wasn't there, he would just take off and, try to create something, extend the play or run. He just basically would leave the pocket. He needs to be more patient in the pocket, because it's not, sometimes he does stay in the pocket, but it's like really rare. It is really rare that he would stay in the pocket, but he definitely needs to learn that in the NFL. And when there's pressure in his face, he definitely does not keep his eyes downfield. Comparing him to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson gets pressure in his face, he's still looking downfield. Jalen Hurts needs to do that too as well when pressure gets in his face. Another thing, he's more likely, as I said, to leave the pocket rather than step up into the pocket, then climb and scan, throw from it. When pressure, the pocket's slowly coming in around you, he would rather just bail rather than just step up into it, just climb up and to make a play. Sometimes he has this habit of staring down a receiver. If it's not there, you can go back to his freshman year. He'd stare down receivers, and if it wasn't there, it was just the safeties and the corners would read his eyes and make a play on the ball. But overall, Jalen Hurts, he's a project. He could be a good backup who could become a starter. He definitely does not need to be starting day one. He can be safe. He doesn't turn over the ball as much because, under Nick Saban, freshman year, sophomore year, Nick Saban made sure he didn't. If it's not there, don't force it. So he can be safe in that aspect. But he definitely, if you want him to be your NFL franchise quarterback, you definitely have to build the system around him. You cannot expect him to come in and do the system that you have. That's not going to fit him. That's not his style. But definitely he's improved, especially with the senior year at Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley did a pretty good job. But that being said, he was playing in the Big 12 against Big 12 defenses, which aren't the most challenging defenses you're going to face. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Jalen Hurts. You guys let me know your thoughts down below with whatever you want to say. If you agree with me or not, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, follow me on Instagram. Links down below. And yeah, I'll see you in another video soon.